Folks, Donald Trump is not all there. And this is not me trying to one-up him, or this is not me trying to make fun of him or belittle him in any way. And this is not me being angry about the way the media treated Joe Biden. And now I'm saying, hey, you need to treat Trump the same. I just do believe, though, that the media should hold presidents to the same amount of pressure. I don't think that it should be as hard on one person and as easy on the other. I truly am of the opinion that Donald Trump is not only slipping, but he's demented. I really believe that he is, and I believe he's losing it, and I do not buy for 1 second that he is the healthiest president that anyone has ever seen, and I don't think anyone ever looked at him with a tear in their eye and said, you're the healthiest president that I've ever seen. I laugh out loud at some of the craziness of this, but I do so because my grandmother always told me that it's better to laugh than it is to cry. And so a lot of times when I see Donald Trump say this stuff, I just face palm and laugh because it's either that or break down crying that we have this maniac who's hell-bent on retribution, and now he's in charge and running the country. And for some reason, he got this completely confused, and he thought that Iran was at war with Pakistan, and he's saying that he ended it with tariffs, and no, I'm not making this up.
As an example, if you look at Pakistan and Iran, I told them I was in the midst of negotiating a trade deal with Iran, and Pakistan was going to be in line. And because of tariffs, they all want to negotiate much differently. We were making a good deal. And then I heard that they're shooting at each other. And I said during one of my conversations, are you guys going to go to war? Two nuclear powers. We are thinking about, I said, here's the deal. You go to war, I'm going to put a 200% tariff. I'm going to stop you from doing any business in the United States. I said it to both of them. Within 24 hours, the war ended. That would have been a nuclear war. And again, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who was here too.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Kash Patel is the sharpest knife in any drawer. But when you look at him, I will say that he does not have the ability to hold a straight face, and his eyes kind of says everything because they're always panning the room. And I feel like that he's panning the room for somebody that is going to make him feel better about the bullshit that he hears spewing from the president's mouth. But yeah, apparently he ended a war between Iran and Pakistan. Like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, it's so crazy to me that this dude says this stuff, gets confused, by the way, and says that on January 6th of 2021, the Biden DOJ, he said, put troops or put the FBI in the crowd to agitate. Kash Patel himself has already debunked that conspiracy. And again, I'm not trying to play tit for tat, and I'm not trying to do a bunch of whataboutisms, but I just know that if at any point Joe Biden had have said the Donald Trump FBI done something while Joe Biden was in office, or if he'd have made the mistake and thought two countries were at war, or all these other gaffes that Donald Trump has had, I mean, doesn't even know where he is half the time. If Joe Biden had had one even slightly close to that, it would have been a story for 6 months. They're still talking about the bad debate that Joe Biden had. We all said it was bad. We all knew it was bad. We've never denied for a second that it was bad. But they're still talking about it. It's still a talking point today, and it will be from now on. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump does. You'll hear the media go back and talk about Biden in that debate performance. Even though Donald Trump was spewing ridiculous bullshit and went on in the Kamala Harris debate to say they're eating the dogs. And honestly, my mom and dad, we were watching that together. Funny story, not to get sidetracked, but me and my mom and dad was watching that debate together. And so my mom and dad are watching very seriously. They've got a very concerned look on their face. And I'm watching it, and I'm being a critic in my head of, how well I think Kamala's doing. And I was going, yeah, she's, see, in my mind, you out-debate someone when you tell the truth. In my mind, his bullshit and his rhetoric doesn't stick. It doesn't mean nothing to me because I know it's bullshit. But when he said the line about they're eating the dogs, my mom and dad both just started laughing. And they looked at me and they said, did he really just say that? And I said, I do believe he did. And they said, do you think she's doing okay? And I said, yeah, she's doing great because she's up against a lunatic. And that lunatic went on to win. And by the way, I've not heard about him eating cats and dogs anymore. But the guards on the street, we got that. And we've got him hitting boats in the Caribbean. And we've got him forgetting who was president on January 6th of 2021. I don't know. I mean, has a president-elect ever had his FBI? I mean, Is that even a thing? I don't know. But you can always count on Jasmine Crockett to bring out the truth and say what everyone is thinking. I mean, she always says out loud what a lot of us are thinking. And we're over here when we look at Donald Trump and his, I don't even want to call it a mental decline, but just him coming completely off the rails. The rest of us sees it. We see it for what it is, and thankfully so does Jasmine Crockett. Take a look at this next clip.
And so we took all these incidents, and my staffer, I'm like, dude, this letter is getting way too long. I mean, it was like he's falling asleep. He forgets that he appointed Jerome Powell. We would have added January 6th if we had dropped, he forgot he was president on January 6th. The rest of the world did not. So there is something happening, and this is based on what actual medical professionals have told me, mentally as well as physically. And then after they put out their report of his most recent physical, it has only led those on the medicinal side to think for sure that he had a stroke. And so there are some that are believing that it may have taken place when he went MIA, because he never goes away, y'all, never. But when he went MIA, and then all the theories started popping up, and it's like, is he alive? What's happening? Because there was nothing, right? There are people that are theorizing, because I think within 4 to 6 weeks of one of these incidents, you have to go in and you have to get imaging and things like that, which is something they can't do at the White House, which would require them to get him over to Walter Reed. So we are asking the serious probing questions because mental as well as physical fitness are things that the American people are supposed to be made aware of when you are serving at the helm. So as much as I make fun of cankles, it is very serious, and we need to know.
It is very serious, and I just think back to all the times that Republicans said, who's really running the show? And all the times that Joe Rogan, anytime he talked about Biden, would say, that guy's out of it, man. That guy, he should be taken away. Who's really in charge? And then there was the time that Trump said there was airports during the Revolutionary War. Joe Biden simply repeated that story that Donald Trump said, and then Rogan got wind of it, thought that Biden said it. And what was so funny about that is he's sitting there going, oh my God, did you hear about Biden saying that, about there being airports in the Revolutionary War? This guy's gone, man. In any other world, this guy would be fired immediately. He should never be allowed to be a leader again, blah, blah, blah. And then when old Jamie pulled it up and said, actually, Joe, he was referring to Donald Trump saying that, Joe flipped and went, oh, well, yeah, he fucked up. He fucked up. Well, can't believe everything you say on the internet. That's how they always do. They always give Donald Trump a pass. It doesn't matter what he forgets, what he says, what crazy demented thing that he says, what ridiculous AI that he posts. And I had forgot about the falling asleep till I watched that clip again with Jasmine. The falling asleep, all the ridiculous AI, and just the fact that he is hell-bent on getting revenge. With Joe Biden, we had a man who aged in front of our eyes, and he slowed down, and no one's denying that. No one's denying that Joe Biden wasn't slowing down during his presidency. He absolutely was. But he wasn't out there going off on these tirades. He wasn't out there weaponizing his government the way that Donald Trump has. And I know that MAGA thinks otherwise. They think that Donald Trump being held accountable for the things he did right in front of our faces is weaponization of government. But no, the people on January 6th got what they deserved the first go around. They never deserved those pardons. And I think they should have got punished even worse than they did. That's how I look at it. I know that none of us would be able to get away with that on Donald Trump's watch. And that's why, but we're not the type of people that would do that. But I have a feeling if we stormed the Capitol after an election, I don't think it would end very well for us at all. And I don't think you would be sitting there hearing them talk about, well, it was Pelosi's job to do that, or no, the way he's sitting in the garden doing his thing, I pretty much feel like that any of us that tried to even come close to that would get way worse, and there would be no pardons coming from us. And here's the thing, too. If we were to do something that crazy, the next Democratic president wouldn't get in and pardon us. The next Democratic president would say, hey, we don't stand for that kind of bullshit, because that's what reasonable people do. But we're not up against reasonable people, and we have to always point that out. I always say these are the type of people we're up against. And I say that because we have to be reminded that this isn't the normal political debates that we used to be having. This isn't Democrat versus Republican anymore. It is an absolute lunatic, hell-bent on revenge, who has people cheering for him like a WWE character, while the rest of us is saying, hey, we don't want this in our politics. Some people will say, oh, well, Trump's just trolling people. When he does all that AI stuff, he's trolling people. And when he falls asleep during speeches, he's trolling people. I don't want a troll to be the president. Let's say you're right. Let's just say he's trolling and having a big gut laugh. I don't want that as the president, because that troll is absolutely enraging everybody that supports him. And they'll sit here and try to blame us for all the violence, but then they're the very ones deleting the studies that shows it's them. So all we can do is just keep standing up against this madness, but that's what we're up against with Donald Trump. We went from having a president who aged in front of our eyes to a president who has absolutely went completely off the rails in front of our eyes, and the media same washes it. We can't let that happen. We have to be the ones to call it out, and they can say whatever they want about us, accuse us of whatever. Go for it, because we're just trying to point out the obvious. This guy ain't well. And this guy is in control, and he's got no one there anymore to rein him in. Again, this shouldn't be about Democrat versus Republican. This is right versus wrong, and this is common sense. And anyone with a brain, with a common sense at all, should be able to look at this and say, yeah, we need to take a deeper look at this dude. And by the way, we probably need to go ahead and invoke the 25th Amendment, because he is not fit for office.